Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Fortnite Battle Royale tips and tricks video. In tonight's video, we are going to be talking about how to get better in Season 9 and essentially how to dominate in this current meta, as you can see right here off the start, coming in with the slipstream for an easy double kill third party with that combat shotgun. Going to be talking about all of that in tonight's video. If you could smack a like on this video, that would be absolutely amazing. Stop what you're doing right now. Smack that like button. Let's go for 534 likes. That'd be incredible. Subscribe if you guys are new. Also, shout out to all of the giveaway winners. I have contacted a few of the giveaway winners already. Will show up on the screen right now. These are for the Season 9 battle passes that I was talking about. The giveaway I was talking about in some of my previous YouTube videos. So congratulations to all those winners. Thank you to everyone supporting the channel, subscribing, and all that stuff. And let's get right into these tips and tricks. So basically, the first bit of this video, I want to talk about Season 9 and the changes. In my video yesterday, I talked about how to get solo wins, and I talked a little bit about the changes, but in reality, in this video, I want to go in depth into, honestly, what the heck is happening currently in this meta, and how to dominate with it. And the first thing is, you'll hear me talk about a lot in this video, the drum gun. And you'll see in both these games here, these are a couple just nice wins that I got here. The drum gun, whether it's a green drum gun, whether it's a blue drum gun, I think the blue drum gun, as of right now, is the best gun in the game, and the green one might be the second best because they're just so damn strong and overpowered, and it is kind of hard to find them. Some games you might have to wait a little bit to find, but once you do find these guns, I really think that it is 100% worth it carrying them all the time, no matter what medium ammo. You know, if you're low on ammo, try to preserve it is the way to go. But even more, I think that, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this strategy of going even without a shotgun, which seems like a ridiculous strategy. If you've played Fortnite for however long, I've been playing since like Season 2 consistently, shotguns have been the main guns pretty much all the time. There was a time in like Season 5, it was sort of a spray and pray sort of meta, but I think that's sort of what we're going back into. And honestly, I thought it was kind of crazy when I first heard it too, but rocking just a drum gun and an AR and not rocking with a shotgun is a usable mechanic in this season, and I think that it all comes down to personal preference. Now, if you love the combat shotgun, you could rock that. If you love the tac shotgun, you could rock that. And in reality, whether you want to go with a shotgun for security and then the drum gun for a spray, or if you're comfortable with that drum gun and you can go without a shotgun entirely, I think that might be the way to go, at least for as of right now. Honestly, in my opinion, I think the drum gun's getting it nerfed sooner rather than later, or maybe a shotgun buff or some sort of rebalancing, just because of the state that it's in right now is absolutely crazy. But as of right now, as of May 12th when I'm making this video, the drum gun is 100,000% the way to go, and using it I'm getting the majority of my kills with it. I think most good players are as of right now, especially because you can just sort of spray and pray with that thing, and it melts through builds with 50 in the magazine is just absolutely ridiculous. So the way to sort of think about it, if you want to use the drum gun more often, and if you like the combat shotgun, that can be great. I am a fan of the combat shotgun. I'm not a big hater. Like, I know a lot of people are hating on the combat. I don't mind it. It's not the pump, of course, because it's just not the pump, but it is okay. But the drum gun, if you think of the drum gun, I said this in my last video, I think, if you think of the drum gun as like a faster firing tac shotgun up close, this thing just will delete people like that, and I really think that is the way to go with it. Now, what do I mean by a situation where you might not want to carry a drum gun? Now, a lot of people I see carrying like a drum gun, shotgun, and then SMG, but I really don't like that combo because I'm someone that I like to get like kills that are easy, you know. So if someone's flying through the slipstream, which we'll talk a little bit about or gliding through the sky or using a rift to go or whatever, getting those distance kills or those third-party shots from a distance that damage it is important gatekeeping on the storm late game when you're rotated early. And I think that I always need an AR for that. So ARs are so important to me. The drum gun, I think, is the most important gun as of right now. And in reality, if you want to go with like those two, a glider redeploy and then a bunch of shields, that could be a decent inventory. Or even if you wanted to go with something a little bit different with a sniper or an RPG, honestly, I think still going traditional with just AR, shotgun, drum gun can be a great way to go, and your only concern at that point is preserving ammo. And then of course you can make the decision between the shotgun and the drum gun. But the situation that I've got myself into a little bit more is I've been rocking that lately the last couple days, but it's been more of me using the drum gun for almost every kill just because of how damn effective it is compared to using the actual combat combat shotgun for many of the kills, and that's sort of how it's been going lately. So you can see here, we'll take a second and talk about this gameplay here, because I'm actually in the top 6 scenario, and I'm getting pressured by this guy who luckily walks right into an easy way to do it. Is if the players who are W keying, basically, well, that's the PC term for it, but basically spraying drum gun and walking forward, if you do that and basically let them into your builds with placing a trap, that can be a very effective way to do it. So anyway, I got my 6th kill here. I'm rotating in, and this is a spot where you can see I have a load of mats. I have almost 3,000 mats. I have like 2,700 mats. I am absolutely chilling. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to rotate over. I'm just going to base up. I'm just going to chill. Also, when I have a glider redeploy, things that I always talk about, abuse the stuff that's strong if you are going to carry it. If you are going to carry a glider redeploy, abuse it. Me landing in this tree and getting that free kill is abusing the glider redeploy. I would never land in it. I guess abusing isn't really the right term. That's just how I like to say it. It's not really abusing it. It's using it how it's properly supposed to be used, right? But if I didn't have that, I wouldn't land in the tree. That's sort of what I mean by that. You can see here I have so many mats, so I'm like, I'm going to build a nice little metal base, and I'm not just going to build it 4 stories high or 3 stories high like usual. I'm going to go super duper high. Boom, another kill off that because I have the glider redeploy, and then immediately I realized I'm going to pressure this player, and that's basically what I want to do. I don't know where he went right away, and this fight does take a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I want to back up, make sure I'm securing my base. Of course, the second you hit people in hamster ball, you always want to hit them in the hamster ball when they are up in the sky, because then you get the chance of fall damage. I'm able to take him out with the drum gun, and as you can see, nice and easily done there. The next thing about this season, other than the drum gun and the whole debate in terms of inventory, I think that is still up for debate, and it's interesting. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below. But if you want to dominate the season, the number one thing is getting good with the drum gun and learning to trust that aim assist if you are on console, and learning a big decision is when to hip fire versus when to aim down sight with the drum gun. And in my opinion, hip firing is the way to go, much like with an SMG. Sometimes when you aim down sight and a player is moving, if you have a slow target sensitivity or whatever, you can track them not as well. And that happened to me earlier in the gameplay where I was able to get the kill, but I took a little bit too much damage. And essentially the only risk you take when using the drum gun, as you can see here in this gameplay, I actually have double drum gun, and I don't really recommend that. I mean, it's cool to run. Usually 50 bullets is enough in this thing. You know, you don't need 100, but I didn't have much else to carry. And the reason why, if you run the tac shotgun, you can use the tac for very up close, and then the drum gun for pretty much everything else. If you run the combat, it's more of combat for peeking, drum gun for spraying. And then if you just run the drum gun, you could use that as more of an all-around sort of weapon. But you can see here in this game, this was a different one where I was playing around Polar Peak, which honestly is one of the tougher end zones. Polar Peak, Viking Village, where all the mountains are, is usually a tougher zone. I'm able to get out of this supply drop a nice little chug jug, which is perfect. And then of course I'm going to drop and carry double on here, and so kind of a similar inventory, except going with the tac shotgun, and of course that's where you get to make the decision. But we talked a ton about the drum gun, a ton about how to get wins and how to get better, but the slipstream, how can you use that in this game, and how can you make yourself better with that? First thing is rotating around the map. You don't really have to worry about the storm as much because you have that. Right here, once again, get a trap in on this player, start spraying with the drum gun. I'm able to take him out. I do take a good amount of damage here, which ends up being tough, but the slipstream, I think, is number one, when on offense, to get kills off of it. The slipstream can be great too. If you see two players running through it, shoot them, get that damage. I've said that before, very important. And the other thing is using that to get out of the storm can be important as well. The main tips and tricks for improving, being good, and getting better at this season are knowing the meta and keeping up with the meta. Fortnite changes so consistently that if you're someone that is used to the pump shotgun and you just want to use an AR combat shotgun, it just won't work this season. I mean, it will, like, I've gotten wins with that still this season, but that is sort of the old meta, and I do think there's going to be changes coming up soon. But I think as of right now, the drum gun is the way to go. Gliders are very effective as well. I think they've always been effective, especially now with the fact that let's say you don't have to run a shotgun. Your shotgun becomes more optional than it was in the past. Now that opens up a spot for gliders, for extra shields, for utility items, for different things like that, where it can be very effective. So you can see here in this second gameplay, this was more of a lower kill game, but I'm once again pushing up. I have a decent amount of mats, not that much, and I'm pushing up and trying to make sure that I'm in a decent spot. I realize that I'm sort of sandwiched. One is below on my right, one is up top, and this is when you're in a 3-player scenario at late game, you do not want to be in between the 2 players. You can see here, easy pickings on that guy with the drum gun, and right right here, the player's above me, so I want to eventually knock this player down and sort of reconfigure the fight, I guess you could say. He blocks me off there, and that's where I realize, okay, I'm going to reload my drum gun here, my blue one, and try to spray this player down and then, of course, try to get shots in as he's falling. So I'm able to do that. Player ends up falling right here, catches himself, which is the right play, but eventually he runs out of storm, so I drop him in, and bada bing, bada boom, spraying ends up working. That's just the way of this season, and I think the way they did this is to make it more of an even playing field. I think we will see some changes as of right now, though. How to dominate, how to get better, and how to be good in this season, you need to use the drum gun, you need to be very smart about what you're carrying, and you need to take advantage of things like the slipstream and people that are playing around those because they're new. People just be gliding through them all damn game. You can get free kills off that, and I really think those are ways to improve in the season. As far as landing spots, a lot of that has stayed the same. Anyway, thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.